freedom is not license, and knowing the harms of marijuana, knowing the addictive properties, and it is, knowing the long-term physical effects, knowing the fact that youth who begin drug use early with marijuana do graduate to more serious, more addictive drugs later. It is a gateway drug. Knowing all that, it makes no sense for us as a rational society and community to deliberately put another hole in our heads and legalize marijuana or any other drug.
You know, one thing that's fun about a debate, you can stand up here and say anything you want. You can stand up here and say marijuana is a gateway drug. And of course it's true that some people who use other drugs also use marijuana initially. But you know, they use alcohol too. They use tobacco. They go to the bathroom in the morning and they brush their teeth. There are all kinds of things like that. To say that flies in the face of actually what the evidence is. The Institute of Medicine actually did a report on this issue, and what they found was the so-called gateway theory, the theory that using marijuana leads people to use harder drugs like cocaine and heroin. Institute of Medicine stated, quote, there is no conclusive evidence that the drug effects of marijuana are causally linked to the subsequent abuse of other illicit drugs. It's just not the case. I mean, do we have agreements on this? No, because generally people don't answer surveys. Just like Mr. Montgomery's earlier remark, everybody who was raising their hands or clapping, you're all going to be drug tested. People aren't generally excited about revealing the fact that they're committing felonies in the state of Arizona to answer surveys. But you know, I probably represented over 1,000 marijuana users in my 17 years. Marijuana users are people who are raising their kids, who are otherwise law-abiding citizens. They are defined as criminals because at the end of the day, a crime is whatever the legislature says. So by definition, they're criminals. But they keep their jobs. They don't harm anybody. They don't use other drugs. I have open attorney-client privilege relationships with them. I ask them questions like this for 17 years. And I don't even need to make that case because I would be surprised if 99% of you didn't know somebody who is a peaceful, recreational user of marijuana who is currently right now at ASU working hard towards a 4-year degree or a law school degree. I had people in class with me in law school who were using marijuana almost every day. I also know some prosecutors who use marijuana every day. Mr. Montgomery noted that the drug war is really a stupid phrase, and I absolutely agree with that. Let's call it what it is. It's the government's war on the citizens. That's what the And part of the problem here is confusing two things. Mr. Montgomery confuses the dangerous aspects of some drugs. And by the way, I would be remiss if I didn't point out the number of people since the beginning of time who have died from marijuana use. Zero. I can also tell you the number of people who have come through my office in 17 years committing a violent crime involving marijuana. Zero. The number of people come through my office who are charged with an aggravated assault because they smoked marijuana, got out, and went into a car accident. Zero. More from alcohol than I could count. I mean, the case that marijuana is horribly addictive and a gateway drug and dangerous and will ruin your life is feeble, based on stilts at best. You know, Mr. Montgomery wants to put together this issue that drugs are bad and therefore they should be illegal. Lots of things are bad, ladies and gentlemen. Hydrogenated oils are bad. Fats are bad. Sitting on your butt and not going to the gym in the morning is bad. Lots of things are bad. But in a free society, the government's job isn't to root out everything that's bad for you. Free people get to decide for themselves how to live. Mr. Montgomery pointed out the rather rational, I think, observation that we have all these social programs. We shouldn't have these social programs. I'm the first one to say, look, if you use a drug, if you ride your motorcycle without your helmet and you fall down and go boom and get a head injury, it's not my responsibility to take care of you. It's not Mr. Montgomery's responsibility to take care of you. He pointed out the terrible health care costs of some of these drugs. I agree with that. Maybe Mr. Montgomery will join with me here today and we can have a unified position, which is let's both end the drug war and all of the attending social programs. Let's end them both and let's have a free society. Libertarians have utopian views. Really? What's so utopian about you're in charge of you and I'm in charge of me? You get to do whatever you want with your body and your property and your time and your money, and you don't have anything to say about mine. If we interact, we can do it peacefully. Is that so hard? Is that so convoluted? Is there so much theory there? Is it more utopian to say the government should have the right to initiate force against its own citizens? Is that a better scheme? It hasn't worked in 40 years. It's not going to work this year, and it's never going to work. Of course, you should be able to do anything you want with your own property. That doesn't mean you get to get in a car and drive drunk or drive high and increase a risk of harm to another person. Nobody supports that position. I certainly don't. If you do get high from smoking marijuana and you want to do something other than what I'm told most people do, which is sit around and listen to music and giggle and maybe have sex and things like that, and eat popcorn or whatever else you eat. Let's just say you're the only person on the planet who smokes marijuana and then gets violent and goes out and does something to infringe on another person's rights. You're the only person on the planet who does that. Because I've never heard of anybody else. You should be punished for your violent activities. Mr. Montgomery noted Adams and Madison. Do you think they would have supported this drug war? The answer is hell no. Both of them were Federalists. They understood the notion of federalism. They understood Article 1, Section 8 lays out the things the federal government does. Guess what I didn't see in there? Drug war. I didn't see drug war. Where was drug war? No, I didn't see alcohol war either. So what did they do? At least they were honest about it, right? They passed an amendment. Okay, it's okay. We hereby give the discretion, the power to the federal government to run the alcohol war. And as I've already pointed out, that really went well. Lest you think this is just my position. This is just the position of a defense attorney who I absolutely promise you makes more money off the drug war than Mr. Montgomery or any judge in this state. I will read to you the position of thousands of former law enforcement drug cops and prosecutors. LEAP, Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. Against Prohibition. Cops, former drug cops, are now saying, you know what I've been doing all those years? Dumb. Here's what they say, and I'm quoting verbatim from their website. For 4 decades, the United States has fueled its policy of a war on drugs with over $1 trillion tax dollars and increasingly punitive policies. More than 39 million arrests for non-violent drug offenses have been made. The incarcerated population quadrupled over a 20-year period, making building prisons the nation's fastest growing industry. More than 2.3 million United States citizens are currently in jail or prison, far more per capita than any country in the world. The United States has 4.6% of the population of the world, but 22.5% of the world's prisoners. Each year, this war costs the United States another $70 billion. Am I out of time? Okay, I guess I'll have to finish this next. Thank you.
Of course, in a debate, you score points for passion, but I'm still unpersuaded.